Good day. My name is Graham and I'm on safari. I'm hunting those people with mad climate change disease. This is a disease spreading to a class of people by very clever and devious media and the moguls behind them who use a thing called information theory, which then allows them to disseminate what is noise, and climate change is mostly noise. Regardless, it's changing up. Most of what you hear about it is noise. Therefore, it's not information. It's just a lot of noise to hide the fact there's actually very little knowledge or information involved in all the media and politics surrounding it. In the fact is this: as an evolutionist, which I am, and I can describe evolution reasonably well enough, one understands that what this is all about. Climate is an evolutionary act. You cannot force people ahead of a climate change into a position which may be totally wrong, because you cannot predict the outcome of a climate change. Absolutely impossible. The climate change itself in Australia, where I'm speaking from, they have not yet. They spent $30 billion at least, so what we're told, on windmills and solar. That's taken $30 billion out of what could have been spent on schools and hospitals and aged care and housing and roads and all those sorts of things. That money then for housing, roads and all that has to be borrowed. We have to import wind and solar when we have coal we can use. Everyone's against coal, and coal's not the problem, because coal only emits in Australia a small amount of the CO2 compared with cars. And if you go to cars, electric vehicles, you then have to replace coal-fired power stations with millions and millions and millions of solar and wind generators to run the electric cars. And those wind generators and solar panels have to be processed using heat generated by coal in China and Asia and other places where they make these things, because Australia cannot afford to make its own things because of the high cost of electricity due to the supplement or subsidy to wind and solar, which is drawing in billions and billions of dollars out of the economy, which has to be borrowed. The fact is, that money that they spent on wind and solar, if they're really serious and concerned about climate change, they would make sure there was abundant supply of water, which can be manufactured from the air, cheap housing for people, make sure that aged care is taken care of exponentially into the future, so that people don't suffer into their old age. While climate is what? They're going to suffer twice. If the climate's going to be bad and make people suffer, then they're also going to suffer by not having enough aged care for the people who are going to grow through climate change. So it depends on what you call what is suffering. What's going to make you suffer more when you're older? A bad weather event, or having no aged care to look after you? These are the things that's not being discussed, because all you hear so far when it comes to climate in Australia is noise. No practical solution, no methodology which makes any sense, no means of funding all the things that are required to be funded, and it's shortfall because we're borrowing money for something we don't need, wind and solar, which solves no problems at all in regard to climate change. In fact, it makes the problem worse, because we can't afford to solve the practical problems required for a society to live successfully and have a good economic life and a good lifestyle with shorter working hours. You cut down the working hours for people, that would improve their lifestyle. You make houses cheaper, that would improve their lifestyle. You reduce the price of electricity, that would improve their lifestyle. You improve aged care exponentially, and that improves everyone's lifestyle, regardless of the climate. The climate may the only way to solve the climate problem is regional, by region across the planet. It is not a global problem. It may be a problem that affects all the globe, but all the globe has to find its own solution, region by region. Each area in Australia is a geographic region. It must find a solution economic solution to make energy as efficiently as possible to the economy and be used as efficiently as possible so the economy can be expanded as vastly as possible to make and secure the future. Not one politician in this country of Australia has ever talked about on the ABC or the media, no media as once, nobody on tweet has once talked in any other sense but only noise, a sense of noise which is well explained in Grammatical Man, by a wonderful book by Jeremy Campbell, which explains then anyone who reads this book will then understand what the game the media has been playing with the people's mind when they've been putting stuff in about all sorts of matters actually, but not explaining and not defining anything to show what the practical meaning is. Climates may be changing, they always have changed. What the meaning is that people may suffer, but people will be suffering further because of the economic stress caused by the massive amount of debt created chasing the rainbow, the perfect weather in the future that people seem to be aiming at. Because we cannot tell which region some regions will benefit from a climate change. How can you tell which regions will benefit or which regions will be worse? You can't tell. And this is where the whole argument collapses. We should be making sure that they've got cheaper housing, make sure food and water supplies are secure in Australia, make sure aged care is funded well out into the future so all the young people have something to look forward to when they get older, when they really start suffering the pains of aging, because that's when it's going to come back and bite them because of the lies and the ignorance spread through political correctness, through politicians and the media and the education system in Australia. Anyway, as I said, I'm on safari, hunting those with mad climate change disease, because all the talk about it, regardless it's changed or not, is absolutely gibberish. No one makes any sense. Thank you. Don't vote anyone promoting themselves as someone claiming they're going to involve with changing the climate because they're charlatans. It's as simple as that. They are only to rip you off. The elite will survive and get very rich out of it. The poor, they're going to get hammered out of this. They won't be able to afford housing or heating or anything the way these people are going, because they're wrecking the future of the economy, which without that that is very difficult for societies to survive through. Thank you.